wonder, why does Donald Trump want to continue to talk about this? Because as I look at this retweet as a woman, it's demeaning to not only Ted Cruz's wife, it's demeaning to Melania Trump, because she's got a lot more going for her than just her looks, and you don't see that in this retweet. All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining us now, it's Malzberg's Media Madness time, so it's the Director of Media Analysis with the Media Research Center and the Executive Editor with newsbusters.org, Tim Graham is here. Tim, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Boy, do we have a lot to talk about. All right, that was from today. That was obviously Kate Baldwin on CNN talking to Stephen Miller, the senior spokesman for Donald Trump, senior policy person for Donald Trump. And then later on, later on in the afternoon, Brooke Baldwin refused to show the tweet where they had Heidi, Cruz, and Donald Trump's wife side by side in a non-flattering comparison for Cruz because she said it's too demeaning to women. How do you think the media is dealing with this latest flare-up?
Like every other Donald Trump tweet, they're just running with it. They're using it to keep talking about Donald Trump, which is what his whole point is. You know, it is silly to have basically a hotness comparison of the wives. But that is the way that Donald Trump plays the game. He is the sort of man who is all about, I have the hottest wife, and when they're no longer the hottest wife, I go get a new one.
Well, okay, but would you also say that, as some have said, as the spokesman for Trump said, and as I said yesterday, to be honest, where was Cruz and Cruz's wife who spoke on this, saying, we didn't put it up, we had nothing to do with this, but take it down. This is outrageous. They didn't do that.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you understand the logic of super PACs, yeah, they're not supposed to coordinate. I mean, you could certainly, I think they denounced it, they distanced themselves from it. I think the whole kerfuffle is a kerfuffle, and I don't think anybody's going to argue that Heidi Cruz isn't an attractive lady. It's really is a bit of a silly tweet fight, which is what Trump does. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. You know, Donald Trump and Ted Cruz came out with, actually Ted Cruz came out with, in response to the terror attacks in Brussels, the surveillance scenario, which New York had done until Bill de Blasio stopped it. But anyway, then Donald Trump said, yeah, I agree with that. And here's Joy Behar on The View yesterday.
So the question, though, is what do you mean by empowering law enforcement to patrol and secure Muslim neighborhoods before they become radicalized? As you probably know, the Anti-Defamation League has put out a statement saying demonizing all Muslims is a misguided, counterproductive response to the terrorist threat posed by those motivated by a radical interpretation of Islam.
We need to take a long view of terrorism. These people, I don't even know why they want to kill us anymore. They just want to kill people. And the main thing you have to stop doing is recruiting new people. Otherwise, there is no end to this. And all of this hate speech against Muslim helps to recruit people. But that's the bottom line. These two, Cruz and Trump, are dangerous.
Cruz and Trump are dangerous. And of course, most of the media, mainstream media, would agree with that.
Well, there is what you could call an Islamophilia. You know, you can never say anything. You can't call this a radical Muslim problem because that somehow recruits new terrorists. And it's that sort of linguistic stranglehold they have. And what's funny is, you know, we don't need to take Joy Behar as an expert on these matters when she starts by saying, I don't know why they're doing this. Well, then just move on, you know, go back to talking about fingernails or whatever it is you normally talk about.
That's hitting below the belt. All right, now you wrote a piece at News. By the way, all these stories are covered on newsbusters.org and at the Media Research Center website. But there's a story that you wrote about. The Washington Post publicizes what they call the prominent scientist on climate change, and they downplayed that he's so radical that he's suing Obama for some radical reason. Let's put up a little bit from this story from the Washington Post by Mr. Mooney. And here it is. An influential group of scientists led by James Hansen, the former NASA scientist often credited with having drawn the first major attention to climate change, has published a dire climate study that suggests the impact of global warming will be quicker and more catastrophic than generally envisioned. That's Chris Mooney. But James Hansen, as I mentioned, is done some radical things that they don't mention until the 14th paragraph.
Yes, he is suing on behalf of his granddaughter. His granddaughter and a set of other teenagers are filing suit in federal court because the promotion of fossil fuels violates the Constitution. That's their novel theory. So the whole point here for us is Moody presents this as just a scientific journal article.
Right.
What he's not saying is Hansen is clearly a flaming leftist activist trying to shut down oil.
And that's what you get when you go to newsbusters.org. Check it out, folks. Tim Graham, thank you very much. Up next, Mark McKinnon. Don't go away.